You're listening to the Savoir Faire Audio Experience.
Are you ready?
The Savoir Faire Experience is your guide to everything that has to do with lifestyle. From dating, rides, style, and entertainment. All brought to you by the editor of Savoir Faire magazine, Robert White. Anything goes on this audio experience. So, let's go.
It's still the best.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Savoir Faire Audio Experience. Thank you guys for sharing, caring, following, loving, engaging, listening, all the lovely things that you do. I have another great interview for you today. Really excited to talk to this person because she's very up and coming right now, and I'm excited about that. Always have a home for musical artists here on our podcast. So Elle Townley is here. Hello. How are you, Elle?
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing lovely. So let me learn a little bit about you. So you are under 18, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Just a nice little teenager just rocking on her guitar, trying to make it in country music. You're from Texas, correct?
I am. I live in Georgetown.
Georgetown. Okay, very cool, very cool. I love a little country girl, that's for sure. And I love that you have some great music going on. I was listening to your music today before we were able to connect, and I was just kind of like vibing with it a little bit. You got a really good little soulful sound to your voice. I think that's extremely unique. And Texas is just getting flooded with you. I was looking at your tour list, and I was like, man, is she ever going to go anywhere besides Texas? Like, are you trying to do a tour of every city in Texas before you go anywhere else?
Well, I would absolutely love that. Texas is my home, so, they definitely say conquer your state before you go anywhere else. But
That's awesome.
I love Texas. It's got a great community for music. The live music scene here is just awesome, and I'm so blessed to know so many other artists here who've helped me on this journey. So I definitely like to do a little Texas tour before I go anywhere else, but I'm happy to play anywhere that'll take me.
Oh, sounds good. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. So I want to learn a little bit about you. I know life has not been that long so far, but music's been a
Yeah.
huge part of your world. So I'm very curious about how this all got started. Like, when did you start singing? When did you learn guitar? Take me down a little rabbit hole here and educate us.
For sure. Well, I have been singing ever since I could talk, but I actually started vocal lessons when I was 6 years old. The same story I tell every time. I was absolutely horrified to sing, so my mom had to bribe me with a toy to get up and do my first singing lesson where I sang Let It Go from Frozen. I used to be obsessed with Disney songs when I was a little kid, and that's kind of where I got my start. I started vocal training at 6, and then I had my first performance at 8 at a local market days in Round Rock. And once I stepped on stage, I was absolutely horrified. Once again, my mom bribed me, but she also told me that you're going to regret it if you don't do it. So that was enough to make me get up there and kind of gain the confidence, and I immediately fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I was called to do. So I just continued doing it. I kind of put myself out there on social media, started recording some music, songwriting, all the things, and I just continued falling more in love with it, and I've been booking bigger and bigger shows, and all the things.
Yeah, very cool. Well, congrats to mom. I mean, I love a good parent story where they like pushed you to be something, and it's so cool that she kind of saw this in you. And that I think I saw something on your social media where you talked about that story too, where it was kind of like you're just going to regret it if you don't do it, right? And that was kind of some of the stuff that mom was saying. So, I mean, I applaud that for sure. That's really cool.
Me too. I'm very blessed to have a very supportive parent to support my dream. And, that's one story that I will forever tell, because without her telling me that, I probably wouldn't have gotten up and done it, and I would have been missing out on something I love so much.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that's your first singing story. When did you pick up this guitar? How did you learn how to play this thing?
Yes. Well, I started learning guitar at 10 years old. My guitar instructor, his name is Brian Curtis, and he is just phenomenal with people starting out on guitar. And I came back from Nashville when I was 10 years old. I had been inspired by these artists that I met up there. One I will forever be honored to is Landon Waugh, because he let me play a guitar, and apparently no one let him, he didn't let people touch his guitars. And I was so honored that he wanted to share that moment with me. He taught me my very first chord, and it really just inspired me to come home and be like him, to learn guitar and really support myself, and that was just a life-changing moment. I will forever be grateful to him because he really did inspire me to start learning guitar. But I started lessons at 10, like I said, and then I learned for about 5 years. And then I was like, okay, well, I think I've kind of got enough to kind of start supporting myself. And I started playing shows by myself about a year later, accompanied by guitar. And that's kind of where I started guitar.
Very cool. I like that you learned how to play guitar in Nashville, because that's where I learned how to play guitar, was in Nashville. And
Awesome.
my story is very similar to yours. I met some really great artists, songwriters, performers, people like that were just like, let me teach you something. And it was so cool to have like very professional, skilled players teaching me, well, basically the basics at that point, right? But then you take that knowledge and you go home and you become like who you are today, as far as your guitar skills, your style, all of those kind of things come together over time as you're learning, which is cool. So it took you about 4 or 5 years before you started kind of putting lyrics to your own music?
Well, I started writing when I was 9 years old, actually. That's when I took my first trip to Nashville. I had been part of an artist development company up there, and they paired me with some songwriters, and I wrote my first song at 9 years old. It was about a boy I had a crush on in 4th grade who broke my heart. You know how it goes.
You're 9 years old, you're already writing love songs. That's exciting.
Exactly. It's kind of funny. But, that's one thing I really love about music, too, is the songwriting portion. I consider myself a songwriter and a performer. Because songwriting is like my therapy. It's how I'm able to process emotions or tell a story, I just think it's a great outlet for feeling.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm a songwriter at heart too. I do some of that stuff on the side. A lot of people are starting to learn that more and more of that world about me now. I just started putting out some of my own music and kind of playing around with some of the stuff that I've been writing and that's been sitting around for years, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so what kind of artists inspired you? Like, I mean, obviously there's got to be some people you looked up to besides Disney princesses in your young life. So which artists were you kind of like connecting with and kind of relating to when you started learning all this stuff?
Great question. Well, I have always been a Miranda Lambert fan. I love her sassy songs. I'm a very sassy person at heart, and so I love performing those, fast, sassy songs. I also really loved Hardy back in the day when he was still doing kind of country. I really admired him as a songwriter, and he was writing for all these stars, and I was just in love with all of his music. I thought he was a great songwriter. One I'm actually into right now is Elle Townley. I think she kind of has some of that old country sound kind of incorporated into her music. Another is Zach Top. But there's just so many great artists to look up to, but definitely Miranda Lambert. I also was really into Carrie Underwood, kind of her early days. Her strong powerhouse vocals is something I really look up to and try to incorporate in my music.
Yeah, very cool. I feel like almost every artist that ever comes to be in music is inspired by someone that paved the way before us, right? And so
Absolutely.
It's always kind of unique to see, like, that's the person that inspired me. Like, I'm curious about this too, this little rabbit hole that's off topic here, but what was your first ever concert that you went to?
Well, it was not country.
Okay, that's cool. Tell me who.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, that's country. What are you talking about? Taylor Swift is a country girl. That's where it originated,
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I would definitely agree with that. It's funny. I was talking with some of my artist friends about this who are, Swifties and like her music. And I'm like, I'm so afraid to talk about Taylor Swift in my interviews or on stage because I feel like I'm going to get like anger from it, But I always get such great feedback. I play one of her songs at my shows and like I have so many people singing along. I'm like, why am I afraid to sing Taylor Swift? And they were like, I totally understand what you mean. But she's another one that I've just always looked up to my whole life. Her songwriting is another level. Her vocabulary in it is definitely something I try to learn from.
Very cool.
Yeah, she was my first concert and it was a blast.
I say this jokingly, but I always talk to people and say Taylor Swift followed me in my footsteps. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, the story between Taylor and me is when I was 16 years old, I left upstate New York, right on the border of Pennsylvania, to go to Nashville and pursue writing career, get involved, do what I wanted to do, right? And still young enough to be in high school. So I went to high school and then off to college and did a handful of things in the music industry. Taylor Swift's pretty much from the same area I'm from in upstate New York / Pennsylvania, right? We kind of combined those in our areas. She's from this area. She almost went to the same high school I did. She lived in the same town I did when we moved to Nashville, but she went to the opposing high school that I went to. So, and then even got involved with the music industry with the same people that I got involved with, but she became mega famous and I started a magazine. So
close.
But so close. I was on the right trajectory. Like if she laid down the work for being successful, I was ahead of her. I was prepared. And just for some reason, it went off the rails at the end, which is completely okay. But I always kind of tell people like, yeah, she followed in my footsteps, basically. She did everything that I did. She must have known about me, but didn't tell the world. And so, so no, I'm a Swiftie.
Cool.
No, I'm a Swiftie for sure. I think that she's a rock star. Very great, successful story. I love like small town girls that just kind of get up there and make huge dreams come true. Or any small town person.
I think you can learn something from everybody, but I just think she's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think so too. That's really cool.
Got a lot of good qualities to look up to, especially for young girls.
Yeah, except her dating choices, but we won't talk about that here. We'll save that for another day. Those Kansas boys are horrible. All right, so let's talk about your creative inspiration for music. I'm always curious about this. I mean, you're young, so it's a little different from most of the artists that I speak to that are kind of more seasoned and really kind of live some life. But your perspective on life, it's got to be very unique. And obviously you're pulling stories from that stuff to be able to write music. So what inspires you? Are you writing about things that are truly happening to you? Are you seeing other stories and picking up from those things? Are you eavesdropping on conversations and hearing unique lines? Where does your music come from?
Yeah, that's another great question. Well, I do tend to write about what happens to me personally in my life. I think those songs that are born from personal feelings can help people, relate to it. It's a vulnerable moment, sharing your feelings, and what I found is a lot of people actually feel the same way or have been through similar experiences. And so I think the good thing about songwriting is that you can tell your story, but someone can be in the same boat with you and it can really touch them. I went through what the new word is, situationship, where you're not really dating, but you kind of are.
Are your parents going to listen to this episode? Because I'm going to have to send it to them now. There's a lot of information they don't know about you. It's coming out right here on the air.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No, I'm pretty involved. Like I said, I have a great support system with my parents, and
Very cool.
They pretty much know everything. I tell my parents a lot.
Okay.
But they definitely help me through my dating choices. But they know about this boy, but I had a kind of situationship with this guy, and he ended up really hurting my feelings. And guess what? A whole album was born out of it. And without going through that, I wouldn't have had all this awesome writing material. So I definitely think a lot of my songs are born from probably pain, which is kind of sad, but great way to process feelings. But, I also kind of like the storytelling songs. I need to really experiment more with them. A lot of artists will write, about characters in a TV show or a book, maybe something like that. And I would like to kind of dip my toe into writing more songs about those kind of people where it's not me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually get a lot of inspiration from listening to other music for sure. There's little lines that are not the kick or not the main line that someone else would sing, but it's something a little bit on the side. That it's like a really cool line, but it hides in the verse a little bit. Those are things that I kind of pick up on. That obviously, like watching specific movies and seeing the dialogue of how a movie plays out. Those are kind of inspirational when you're kind of just watching something. You're like, that's kind of a cool storyline. How can I turn that into a song?
For sure.
And I listen to a lot of newer artists too, which is kind of surprising for some people because I just want to keep up with what's going on. But like a lot of people are playing that game that you're talking about. They're really getting inspired by things that are cultural phenomenon type of things. And people are kind of wrapped into those things already. And now they're writing songs about them that layer into that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
I totally agree.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, it's always unique to learn like what people are going through in life and where their inspiration comes when they want to write music. So, I mean, obviously you're kind of, we talked a little bit about Taylor. She's a big girl on like writing, you know, personal love
Yeah.
stories and putting everything into pen and paper. And it's good therapy at the end of the day for sure to be writing that stuff down. But then when you first expose that to people, like your first time performing it or something, I know there's a little bit of nerve. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of your stage stuff and like how do you prep for getting up on stage to perform?
Yeah. Well, I kind of have a little routine. I think the biggest thing for anybody to do before they perform is to warm up your voice. Your voice is your main instrument when you're going up there. And, you know, doing these 3-hour shows, you know, there's a lot of shows that don't do less than 2 hours, you know, so you're looking at a lot of live venues for 2 to 4 hours. So it's really important to warm up your voice, keep it safe. You know, you don't want to be damaging your voice. So for me, that's a big part of getting on stage. But I usually start my days. I don't have any dairy the day I sing. It, you know, clogs the vocal cords.
Okay.
And then I drink a lot of water. And then I warm up about 30 minutes to an hour before I get up on stage. That's doing my scales, you know, with all the weird sounding vocal words you do. Mums and nays and, you know, all those.
Yep.
And then one thing I've actually been doing lately that I've kind of heard from all these people in Nashville and some other artists here in Texas, you eat a handful of Lay's potato chips and it like coats your throat just enough, but it doesn't dry you out with all the salt. And I've actually tried it for my last few shows. I think it works great. Who would have thought Lay's potato chips made you sound even better? But apparently they do.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting.
It is.
I did not know that little trick. I might have to try this. I'm going grocery shopping today too. So we're going to buy some.
Try it out.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be recording some stuff. So there's like some songs that I've been writing and I've been playing around with lots of cool new tech to kind of bring them to life. But I'm putting my own voice on some of these this afternoon. So now I have to go get some Lay's potato chips and plenty of water and take the Elle Townley pre-game
There
plan.
you go.
Okay.
I really didn't believe it, but I tried it and I was like, what the heck? I actually just played a show in Houston the other night. And I usually struggle with my voice at this venue. There's something in the air that I'm allergic to, and it kind of gets me, you know, gunky. And these potato chips, I promise, they saved my life on that show.
That's so cool. Okay, what a cool little trick. We're going to definitely dive into that. Well, I want to know more about this very specific song that you just wrote and released called Taking Off My Halo. I love this. Yeah. This is definitely going to tie into some of the stuff that you mentioned earlier because you like those like girl power, boot kicking, I'm taking over the world kind of vibe. And this song is definitely that feel, right? This is what that's all about.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. So talk to me about this song because there's layers to this one.
Absolutely. Yes, the song is called Taking Off My Halo. This is a big song for me because I haven't had the chance to release music in almost 3 years. So this is kind of like me stepping out of my middle school, early high school songwriting to this kind of new era of Elle. I've kind of, you know, settled into my brand, and this song was actually pitched to me by a songwriter. Her name is Cherise Swartz. And the song was originally written for Leanne Rimes, which I thought just had a really cool backstory. It didn't end up making it into her catalog, but I feel like it made its way to me. It has a good home. And we freshened up some of the lyrics just to kind of make it more me. And but the song is really about stepping into your independence, kind of breaking away from expectations. The song really fits me because I'm labeled as a goody two-shoes. I've always been a straight A, rule-following person. You know, like I like the rules. I like being what's considered, you know, fitting in. But I thought this song was really cool because I kind of get to, not that I'm actually, quote, taking off my halo, but it's about kind of just stepping out of that for a night and going partying. I want to be in the middle of a rowdy crowd. I'm going to wear holy jeans, you know, all these things. And I just thought it was such a cool vibe. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's record it.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, I like it that it's contradictory to who you are. That's kind of unique.
Yes.
But I love the lyric. I was listening to it earlier. Sherry Swartz is awesome, by the way. That's not a name I haven't heard before. I mean, I've heard her name before for sure. So congrats on being able to grab that one, right? That's super cool. I mean, the song is kind of a rebellish kind of thing. Like obviously a girl kind of want to breaking out of the norm and getting out there and trying new things. Like, do you feel like you relate to it in that way, kind of just stepping into getting a little bit older, performing more? Like, have you had your crazy night out? I mean, you're still 16 or something, right? So you can't really have a crazy night out, but like...
I'm almost 17. I haven't really had crazy nights. I really do like being... I like the comfort of being a goody two-shoes. I hate getting in trouble. Growing up, I never was really grounded. All those things. But I do think it's fun. I like to go hang out with friends. I love the energy of when you have people you care about around you. I love being around people, I guess is the main thing. But I've been really thankful because I haven't had any like crazy bar shows or, any shows where things got rowdy. So I guess I've been protected there. But I really haven't had like a night out.
Okay. Well, you know what? There's still plenty of time for this song to come to fruition.
Absolutely.
We're going to wait
we're
till
just going to sing about it.
Yeah, we're going to sing about it. And then when you're like over 21, then you and mom can go have a drink together.
There we go.
That's when it will
Sounds
all
like
break
a good
down.
night.
Very cool. Well, I'm curious about your summer 2025 stuff as well. Like I said earlier, you're kind of dominating Texas right now. You're traveling all over the place. What shows are you real excited about? What's coming up next?
Great question. Well, I am going to be doing a show. It was supposed to be the one I actually just played, but of course, Houston weather, it rains all the time right now. We had to reschedule it, but I'm going to be part of a documentary kind of about the Texas music live scene at this venue called East River 9, where the performance is going to be filmed. I have some, pre-show and after-show interviews. That'll be a great time. I'm kind of all over the place at the moment. I've been playing a lot of shows. I do kind of take a little bit of August off because I have a lot of family birthdays, including mine, during that month. So that's going to be a nice, relaxing month to hang out with some friends for my birthday and things like that. But I am playing Circuit of the Americas again this year, which is a great, great show. Very high energy and fun. And then I'm also the headliner for a festival in my area this year, which is really exciting. That'll be in December. And so I got some good things on the horizon. I was also just nominated for Young Artist of the Year for the Texas Country Music Association for the third time. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats on that for sure. I mean, you definitely have a busy summer ahead of you. I was looking at your website. So for those that are listening, it's Elle Townley, ELLETOWNLEY.com. All of the dates are listed there. You're also on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all under, I think they're under what, Elle Townley Music, right?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, we're on this, girl. Professionals over here.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, definitely go follow. If you're in Texas, go check her out live. Get out there and support. If you're not in Texas and you want Elle to come to your area, how can they get in touch with you, Elle?
Well, my email, I have a little, submit whatever on my website.
Okay.
It'll send me an email. You can just kind of fill it out, sends it your way.
Okay. And there's management contacts over there on your website as well. Some phone numbers. Yeah. Everything's nice and easy. Very cool. Well, Elle, I'm really glad that we were.
Make it easy.
Yeah, make everything easy. I'm really glad we were able to connect. Definitely excited to see where your career goes. You have a great voice. You're doing excellent work. Really looking forward to kind of seeing some music videos and some stuff happening with you in the future. So keep grinding. Good luck to you. Really glad we were able to connect and talk about music today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please take a minute to head over to www.savfair.com and subscribe to our publication.